today's show, I'm here with Terrence Lowe and Julian Hasakawa, representing the National Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Today, we will be discussing our current election between John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson. Now, I know there have been several controversies regarding this election, and well, that's exactly what we're here to discuss today. This election has been pretty dirty considering the personal attacks and remarks made against each candidate. This is the rematch between the candidates as they ran against each other in the previous election, in which Adams was on top. However, Jackson appears to be very confident about winning this term, and today we will see what their opinions and beliefs are on current state. Okay, and our first topic of discussion, let's start with foreign and domestic affairs. Aiden, what's your position?
I believe that we should extend the United States by any means necessary, whether that's going to war or paying for it or making people move, because as a brand new nation and a smaller one of that, we need to make ourselves larger and to show the rest of the world that we're not a baby and that we can actually hold our own grounds. And as far as the United States, the states need to be more in control of what is said, and they need to unite so the federal government would not have as much control as we do.
So, I totally agree with you on having to expand the United States, because I agree that we need land for us to be united as well, because it's quite big. However, you say that any means. What? I don't understand that, because are you just saying we should just kick people off their land? I mean, we should have a issue. We should solve this issue by having like a treaty or something, not just doing kicking them off or anything. And also, saying states should have more power. So basically, just saying taking all the power from federal government. That's not okay at all.
Any means necessary, like I said before, we either go to war, kick people off the land, or possibly pay them for the land, depending upon who's there and under what circumstances it is. You said we should use treaties. They might not work because for a treaty to work, you need the cooperation of both sides. And I'm not saying the federal government will not have any power, it's just the common man should have more say on how they are governed, because the common man is the people getting governed.
So the question is, what do you mean by who's there on the land? So you're saying that there are different kinds of people, there are different measures of
if they're not supposed to be there,
First of
they
all,
simply should not be there.
Why are you talking when I'm talking? And I don't understand why you're saying that. And also treaties. You say sometimes you need cooperation with people. That's why we improvise. Like, we improvise to make the treaty right for both sides of the party. So that's why I can see why Jackson picked you as a representative. Like, a stupid leader picks a stupid representative.
Okay guys, let's settle down. Remember, just respect one another when each other's talking, and just because the election's dirty doesn't mean we have to get dirty on here. So let's just move to our second topic. We're going to discuss the banks. So Kaylin, if you want to start us off, go ahead.
So, very simply, the national banks just need to be shut down. There's no funding for expansion into the unsettled Western territory, so if they're not going to help us fund it, how are we supposed to expand the nation? And they only have funding for industrial northern states. And also, there's no one overseeing business dealings. So banks are only for the privileged and businessmen, but what about the common man? They're just being pushed off to the side, and the bank isn't really helping and supporting their needs.
I totally support the national bank. It helps the American economy. It creates a currency among the states, and I like to disagree with you on it doesn't benefit the common man. I mean, we actually have the money. The federal provides money for roads, canals, to help the transportation easier. So that way, farmers or whatever can just transport their goods and have their money. So it would help. So having the money, having the national bank would provide us to open a national university, which would boost the nation's education. That way, there won't be like a lower class people. There will be more higher classmen with higher education, and that's why shutting down the national bank would be a horrible idea for this nation.
Well, first of all, with the education, farmers' children will not be able to attend school because they do have to help their family farm and everything because there are not enough hands, and some farmers are not able to afford extra hands. And how are they going to be able to pay for transportation because the roads are not valuable to them if they can't even afford a canoe or a buggy or any means.
Okay, guys, let's continue here with the next subject being the tariffs.
So, I think tariffs are too high for the common man because the common man is not able to afford them, and it's not even benefiting them. If it's in the federal government's hands, how do we know how it's being spent? They say it's being spent on roads and everything to help farmers and the common person, but we really don't see it and we don't know for a fact. If the states had more power on how tariffs were being used, then that would be a different story because the common person would be able to put their say in how it's spent and it would benefit them more. But because it's not in their hands, they're too high and it's just hurting the general population as a whole.
To disagree you once again and just prove you wrong, you're saying how you're not seeing any results or anything helping, because in order to see it, you have to see there's production. That's why we need to have the money. The tariffs will allow us to have the money to make, like I said before, make roads, canals, to help the common man, production. And also, you say that states need to have more power again, so the common man can control tariffs. So what you're saying is that the common man obviously don't want tariffs, so he's just saying, oh, they don't want tariffs, so we're just not going to pay them. How's the federal government going to make money, and how are they going to make production for the common man if that's what your problem is?
All tariffs don't necessarily have to be abolished, but they do have to be lowered, or they have to be put into a play that would benefit the general population, and so that the whole United States as a united front would be productive and more forceful to the entire country, to the entire world.
Okay, but your prior argument was saying how the common man shouldn't be able to decide what kind of tariffs they should have. So if they can decide, they're not going to want to pay tariffs, and that's going to basically make the federal government have no money and shut down the national bank. And basically, without tariffs and without the national bank, the nation would fall. I mean, there's no production, the economy would stop, and it would just.
But no one wants to pay tariffs. Do you want to pay tariffs? No, you don't. Thank you.
So we are here, we have special guests, Joe and Dale, and so I just want to ask you guys, both parties, who do you think would be a better fit for president?
Well, I can tell you who wouldn't be a good president. Adams, we already saw that he was not fit to be a president. He only won the election of 1824 because when they tied and it went to the House, the Speaker of the House, Henry Clay, favored him, and that's how he became president. Adams used taxpayer money for his own personal needs, and he was not for the common man at all. So if you do not help your weakest link, then your nation will just fall as a whole. If Jackson wins, the whole country will turn around and prosper.
I can see that someone's still bitter about their loss. These are not facts that she said, but these are some facts I'm about to tell you about Andrew Jackson. This guy is a cold stone killer. He's only famous because he was a war hero. I mean, a war hero can't lead a nation. In 1806, he he had murdered, he executed a person, and in 1815 he commanded one of his troops and had them executed. This guy can't lead a nation. We were actually
He is a war hero of the 1815 versus the elite British units. They had 7,500 men. Sometimes a man had to die on the battlefield that disobeyed orders, and that's what he did. A good leader knows how to command his troops. He knows how to lead his people. He was also, I don't know if you know this, but he was a lawyer, so he's a very smart man. He's also known as the people's person. Everybody adores him. And then he also supports individual liberties and rights of individual people. And also, he was in the Revolutionary War. So he's a war hero that founded this country. So he has every right to be able to lead.
Okay, well, thank you, Joe, on your take, and let's talk to Dale. Dale, who do you think should be president?
Well, I think Adams should be president because he is a natural born leader. He was dedicated into making a better nation. Also, he has experience in office.
Okay, well, thank you, Joe and Dale, for both of your guys' opinions, and thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Terrence and Kaylin, are there any last comments you guys have?
Well, just in conclusion, John Quincy Adams should be the perfect choice for this presidency, and he should definitely win. Thank you.
Regardless of what Terrence just said, Andrew Jackson should be our new president because in the past 4 years, what Adams did, we brought our country down, and Jackson will bring it back up, and he'll totally turn our nation around by bringing up the weaker portion, which is the common man. So.
Okay, and that closes the discussion, and thank you guys both for coming on the show and discussing and sharing your opinions with us, and that's it. Thank you.